welcome to a brand new episode of podcast right here where we are recording in our own studio apartment. Pretty pumped. I'm genuinely pumped up about this episode. Right, hey, how you doing? Welcome to this podcast. Pleasure having you in my podcast.
It's my pleasure as well.
So we are going to dive into few questions right now as we are having this conversation right here in the middle of the desert. So the first question, few questions as well as this genuinely interested conversation. So let's dive right into a conversation without further ado. All right, I just want to ask you one simple question. What is your primary focus right now?
My primary focus is to find a new job, which having a good benefit in the company, a salary, of course, and everything is there that the employee will value each and every stuff.
Why do you think value is really important? Because I remember a quote of Richard Branson. He said, "You have to take care of your employees, right? Then the employee will take care of your business." So, would you agree with that statement?
Yes, of course. Of course, all the employees and all the staff, they are the frontliners. They are the one who's making money for the company. They are the one who's giving profit to the owner. So they have to value that each and every staff they have.
So you have to pay attention for each and everybody regardless of their position. So is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's true. Because even it will start from the lowest position up to the managerial position. Everybody has to contribute to the company. So they have to value that one, or else employees will gonna leave the company, and it's the loss of the company, especially if the employees very hardworking, that you can rely on, a very reliable employee, and trustworthy as well.
Amazing. What do you think about the major mistake that companies are making right now in our modern society? What do you think is the major mistakes that they're doing, and how can they improve this kind of situation?
For me, I think in each company there is discrimination as well, which they are going to base on your nationality. They are not going to base on what you're giving or what you're contributing to the company, but they are basing on the nationality. Like if you are a Russian Arabic speaker or like that, they're giving a good salary, of course. But for those Asians who's doing a lot of hard work and contributing a lot from the company, they don't give attention.
According to you, it's just a certain discrimination that companies has to make changes, right? That's a very strong point, but it's not about what you know, it's about who you know in most of the organizations. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what I want to ask is, how can you find a better opportunity? How can you develop yourself, and how can you find a better opportunity in the first place? What do you think about finding out better opportunity? What are the processes that we have to go through?
First, of course, you have to start it with yourself. You have to change a lot. Change into progress, not for the first one.
Okay.
And of course, if you're aiming also for a goal and you have a plan for yourself, then you're gonna be successful one day.
When you work in an organization, do you really love what you're doing?
Yes, I do, but in some certain situations, there are some things that you have to consider. Like you're doing your best for them, but still, they're just looking you as a normal one. They don't even care about what you're capable to do for this company and for this position, but they're just looking, okay, I can use this person, and I'll just use her. That's it. And no progress. I mean, no nothing will happen. Yeah, nothing will happen to you. No improvement. Yeah, no improvement for you, because they're just using you,
All right.
your capabilities.
Okay, these are the struggles that we are facing, but I have a favorite quote. I have a favorite thing. It's not about what happens to everybody, right? It's not about what happened in your life, but it's about what you do, how you respond to what happened to you in your life. Perhaps you heard that. I heard it from Jim Rohn. I heard it from many motivational speakers. So eventually, it's about how you're going to develop yourself. It's about you should have focus. You should have a game and goal, and you should have purpose in your life. Then life's going to become far more interesting when you start pursuing it. And also, fundamentally, you can either be a victim or you can be a complainer, right? Or you can be a leader. You can be a victim or you can be a leader. You don't get to do both, right? So most people are starting from organization and they're becoming entrepreneurs, or they are starting their own companies in some cases, right? The example is there is this entrepreneur lady in my country, you know her personally, the beautiful lady who has short hair. Her name, we're not going to drop down names, but anyway, I worked in her organization as well. So she started from scratch. She started from like $500, right? Basically $500, and she started selling cloth in a boot of a car. Eventually, she started small, but she ended up building a company. So eventually, she ended up building a multi-billion-dollar company, right? And all started small. What do you think about starting your own thing? One of the quotes also I remember from Martin Luther King. He said, "If you haven't found something you're willing to die for, you're not fit to live in this world," right? So what do you think about starting your own company, whether renting a Uber car or building a real estate, getting into real estate, building some sort of a house or something like that, or selling online? There are so many opportunities out there in 2020.
That is one of the good ideas. I mean, to start a business or start investing for yourself. Maybe for me, I like that idea, and I'm gonna do one day for that one, for investing some for myself, not only for me and also for my family. So in the future, you will have something for yourself. You will not gonna just work for others, and you have your own business.
That's amazing. So as we discussed with one of my close friends, one of my workmates, Arnold, we talked about four fundamental steps that we can take, right? Learn, earn, save, execute. Learn, earn, save. If I want to bring another word to middle, I can say invest, right? Learn, earn, save, invest, and execute. Final idea is execution. So most of the people want to be successful nowadays. Most people want to be healthy. Nobody want to be ill. So a lot of people are not executing. That's one of the biggest weakness in our society nowadays. A lot of people are talking. I mean, there are so many people talk about massive ideas. I mean, amazing ideas, but they don't want to take massive. They don't want to take massive action. How we begin? I mean, basically, how we begin in this process, according to your experiences in life. Now you work in an organization for about many years? 4 years, right? 4 years foreign experience, and also you have experience in the Philippines. So how we begin in the first place?
I started also as in the lower position, or the lowest position that I have. Then from my previous company, I work as I started as in a lowest position until I become in a managerial, or let's say a supervisor, because that one is I really work hard for myself. I learn a lot day by day. I try to learn new things for myself, and learn from a mistake as well. Of course, you're not gonna learn if you don't do mistakes at all. There's no perfect, but if you will learn from your mistakes, then you'll get to know what is the wrong and what is the right, and what's your next decision,
Next step in your
next
life.
step. Yeah, next step in your life. You know, so from that moment, you will see. I mean, you will see the difference from you. If you really want to learn, you have the eagerness and perseverance to learn everything. You know, if you really want to.
Amazing answer, exciting answer. And also one other thing that I want to say is in 2020, we have a lot of resources. Who we're going to become, right? We have a lot of resources, educational material things, online courses, books to read, and there are so many things we can do in order to become successful in today's world, modern world. As I said previously, it's not about what happened. What happened happens to everybody, but it's about what you do, how you respond to what happened to you in your life, right? I remember the story of Nelson Mandela, for example. I really adore this guy. Even Oprah Winfrey, when you look at successful people, Oprah Winfrey, she was going through a really hard time in her life, but eventually she became, her net worth is literally like billions now. Billions, right? And also Nelson Mandela, he transformed humanity, right? He transformed humanity, but he has gone through struggle, he has gone through pain. So what my point is this: people change for two things basically. People change for suffering and pain, and people change for hope, inspiration, and motivation. So a lot of people are waiting until the crisis time to come when they want to make change in their life. Basically, they wait for crisis time, then they're gonna make some changes when they go through a massive loss or something like that, right? So for us, it is important to realize that we have to change. Right? All of us, we need to make a necessary change in our life. So it's important to change from the motivation and from the inspiration and without suffering, right? Nobody wants to suffer in this world, right? Pain is going to make you stronger. That's a different part. That's a different topic to talk about. But it is important to realize it's important to make some changes from the hope, inspiration, and motivation. And also, one of the powerful things that I want to remind you is journaling. I adore journaling. You know, I learned it from Jim Rohn. I learned it from Robin Sharma. All these successful people, they have something in common. They do journal. They track their thoughts, and they're gonna write down into a piece of paper. You know, they do journaling. I encourage you to do journaling as well as you go through in your life. You can track your thoughts, and you can find some motivation. And you can mention in your journal. You have to carry your journal as well. So, what are some strategies that we can develop in order to make some changes?
What strategies?
Strategies like self-learning, right?
Of course.
Self-learning, personal mastery.
Yeah, that's the first thing you have to do, self-learning, you know, because it's very important to learn it by yourself, or because if you will not start by learning by yourself, then how it's gonna start? I mean, it cannot be like you're gonna start it from somebody else. Of course, if it's for yourself, should be you.
So self-learning is very important, isn't it?
Yeah, and nowadays, because of the technologies, you can do a lot of self-learning. You don't need to go to like a school, like especially if you're already old enough, or let's say you already in the age of like you don't need to go to school, so you can learn it in our new technologies now.
So important to realize in your life, if you are stuck in an organization that you don't love, or if you have poor education, nothing to blame. You literally can begin, right?
Yeah.
You literally can begin your journey. You can start all over, regardless of what happened to you. As I said, you can't become a leader and you can blame at the same time. You don't get to do both, right? So, what would you say to those people who are really stuck in their life? Let's say, a lot of people are going through depression nowadays, because of, why they're going through depression is, basically depression is mental related, right? So people are going through depression and also frustration. Frustration is one of the things that we are dealing with, and also the stress is massively impacting modern days people, right? So how can they begin their journey if you're really stuck in your mind or stuck in your organization? What are the tips that you can give it to people who want to start all over?
First, they have to make a plan for themselves,
Right,
plan or aim for something. And after that, they can make action or they can execute that that plan, what they're planning for. And then day by day, they're gonna make they will be a successful because they already
To be a success.
because they execute it. If you have a plan for yourself, you have to do it. You have to do some action, or else it's not gonna work out. It's only a plan, and also you're not gonna be a good person also if you don't have any actions on what you're doing, because it's only like a plan, and it will not gonna make it happen in the future. I mean, like that. What would you say about that?
I would say to a person who really stuck in their life, let's say in their professional life, or they really want to go to the next level, I would say use your time wisely, because you have a finite amount of time. You literally have a finite amount of time. You have to use your time wisely. And I would say as well, have a goal, have an aim, and have a purpose in your life, right? Whatever you're believing, it's positive. It's possible to achieve whatever you're believing, regardless of the limitation that you put for yourself. It is possible. I mean, if my relatives can do, I can do as well. If my colleagues can do, I can do as well. If Richard Branson can do, I can start my business as well. So you literally have to keep motivate. You have to motivate yourself. Nobody else is gonna do that. Number one, use your time wisely. Number two, come up with a plan, come up with a goal, start executing whatever you learn. Number three, you have to keep yourself motivated. That is very important. Self-motivation is very important, and also get rid of negative people in your life, energy vampires, hope thieves and energy vampires, because you have to get connected with people who are really positive, people who have similar ideas, similar intention in their life, because it's gonna make your life really easy when you get connected with people who have similar goals and ideas, because you're gonna learn from them as well. Eventually you can execute, and whatever you're believing, whatever you're hoping, it's still possible. There'll be light in the end of the tunnel. As Bible says, there's a bright day through every dark night. So you have to remember that, and remember that as well. So I want to say thank you very much for joining our podcast. We're gonna wrap up this episode, and Miss Magrino, thank you very much for joining, and we're gonna catch you up in another episode. It's literally about 20 minutes. I hope you learned something from this podcast. I hope you gonna execute as well whatever you're believing. I just want to encourage you to start whatever you're believing. All right, and let's catch up in another episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me here, and I really enjoyed this episode, and till the next